Hey, welcome to Aussie Online Growing on Shopify. This is episode 131 about email marketing. I want to chat with you about some, changes that I've noticed maybe in the last 6 months with email, with my own email account, and with clients' email accounts as well. I'm going to specifically be chatting to you today about Klaviyo. That's the only platform I really recommend, especially for e commerce. But even as a general e-commerce or platform or email marketing platform, it's still the industry leader, and it still does far more things than other platforms do. There are definitely competitors to Klaviyo that have been popping up in the last couple of years, and some are sort of getting bigger than what they were a little while ago. They're gaining more traction as Klaviyo's prices continue to increase. But there's still so many things about Klaviyo that really set itself apart as an industry standard, and the amount of metrics it has access to and industry benchmarking is second to none, in my opinion. But this episode is a little bit about what I've noticed inside my Klaviyo account in probably 6 months, and my clients as well. So this is a bit of a mix of what I'm noticing for myself and also the clients I work with their own Klaviyo accounts and the email marketing, email management I'm doing for them with their accounts. And I guess there's nothing, it's hard to pinpoint what to exactly to call this episode. Like, there's not one big glaring metric I want to share with you, or one giant change that's turned everything upside down and or anything like that. It's really a bit of a, what's the word? The cliche is bracket creep. I feel like email's becoming a bit of bracket creep, where I'm just trying to stay on top of what's sort of happening and what's current and sort of new in the email marketing world, because of kind of changes that seem to be gradually rolling through and metrics that are gradually kind of developing over months and months of working inside email accounts. I do this obviously a lot, and I see a lot of accounts and I see a lot of emails and a lot of metrics, including my own. And so I guess I'm fumbling a bit. It's hard to know exactly how to give you a concise introduction. I always like to have these episodes with some really obvious takeaway from it or some obvious summary, and this one's a little tricky. So I've just got some points I'm going to go through and chat with you through this, and I want to maybe encourage you that perhaps your emails are performing better than Klaviyo is telling you they are. The one thing that I've really noticed for my own account and my clients' accounts, which has sort of started me in the last couple of months, kind of this deep dive into working out exactly what Klaviyo is telling me as an email marketer that I need to be paying attention to, is when you're inside Klaviyo and you look at your campaigns, you get those little badges that give you a score. You know, your open rate is like poor or fair or good or excellent. There might be others. And then your click rate, and then your, what's the next one? Revenue or revenue per recipient. I can remember which the other two are. But the first two, open rate and click rate, are the ones that I tend to latch onto more than any others when I'm looking at standalone campaigns. If I'm looking at flows, then I guess I look at some other metrics, especially revenue per recipient becomes important when I'm building a flow off the back of a coupon code, because I want to know that's performing well and that people are actually spending money off the back of that email. But if I just look at standalone campaigns and I look at open rates and click rates, as far as Klaviyo's metrics go and the little badges it gives you, mine have definitely dropped inside my own account. So mine often sit, my open rate starting to sit more around fair and good, whereas it used to sit more in excellent. In my clients' accounts, something similar is happening, where lots of my clients' accounts, I'm sort of hovering them around fair to good. Some of them are new as well. So a couple of the clients I'm working at the moment never even had Klaviyo before. So it's tricky to kind of compare with their previous email service provider, because if you know MailChimp and Omnisend and all the other ones, it just doesn't give you the same sort of data or the same kind of feedback that Klaviyo can give you. So one thing about those two metrics is, if you are finding something similar with your own emails and your own metrics, I encourage you to go and do a bit of a dive into why that might be the case and read some of the Klaviyo articles on how you can improve those metrics, because you may also find it encourages you that they're potentially not that bad, and that the badge that Klaviyo has given you is really not the whole picture. So for my own account, the badge of like fair for my open rates. My open rates are usually about 45%. And even for myself, when I think of that, I imagine, how is 45% fair? Like in my own head, I imagine surely 45% is good. But Klaviyo classifies my industry more as like 50% to 60% as good. And that's hard to achieve. Like it's hard to get 60% of people to open their emails when you look at the landscape of email marketing and what you do as a customer. Like, what do you do with your own emails and your own inbox? Because I know for myself, this morning and every morning, I'm opening my emails and I'm skimming the subject lines and delete, 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 delete to get rid of the ones I don't even want to bother with. And then I'll open the ones that I've got genuine time to even open. So even for my own behavior, if I kind of try and just put Klaviyo's metrics, not the metrics, because the metrics are important, but put their badges a little bit to the side and not get too caught up in it, like a vanity metric, a bit like organic social media. Don't worry about your followers. It's really a vanity metric, your followers. But there's other metrics that are more important, which is an episode coming up about actually. But for Klaviyo, if you put that kind of badge metric to the side, just look at your deliverability. My deliverability is strong. And then really think about how I behave in my own inbox as a customer and how much I'm just deleting off the bat, even if it's a brand I like and I want to see more from and I will plan to probably shop again one day. I still don't want to see all their emails and open them. What's the very next step for your small business in growing online here in Australia? Often things like email marketing or Facebook ads are things that small businesses come up against often that can be really costly to solve and really hard to find someone that you trust to look after those projects. I work with small online businesses here in Australia on those two very things. They dovetail together so well. They support each other so well. In my own e-commerce store in 2024, 36% of all of my revenue came directly from email marketing efforts. And my total revenue across the year was up 30% on 2023. So I am perfectly placed to support you in growing online with your very next steps. I've sort of been told I am the small budget or baby budget Facebook ad specialist, and I totally endorse that and embrace it. I love that title. If you want to work on Facebook ads, I can work with a small budget or a large budget. Or if you want to work on email marketing inside Klaviyo or another CRM, I can build flows and segments for you to ensure your deliverability remains strong, because no one wants to end up in a spam folder that stops us from sending emails. Reach out to me for a free discovery call. You can put it right in my calendar and we can talk for 25 minutes about your business and how I'm best placed to support you for a 30-day project window. You don't need to sign up to a long, expensive retainer. We can work together one-on-one just for a small period of time to begin with on a specific project to see how well we work together and see what results I can get you and your business next. Now back to the episode. I've done a bit of a deep dive into what I want to do, what I have been doing in my email account, and some audits I'm doing in some clients' accounts as well through June. So a couple of my clients, I'm going through a big checklist with their Klaviyo account and looking at their Shopify as well to make sure that they've got some industry best practices, but also some of my own expertise that I want to layer on the top of that as far as engaged segments go. So I've swapped my engaged segments just in the last week for my own account, and I have made the engaged segments a little more specific, more narrow. That's the word I want to use. I've made my own segments a little more narrow. That's one of the things I want to do to help my open rates and my click rates. Obviously, you need to do different things for different metrics. Open rates really relates to your subject line and potentially your preview as well. Like what does someone see in an inbox preview? What's like the header of your email? That will help your open rate, and your subject line will help your open rate. Your click rate is helped by the quality of the content and the emotion it drives, and the call to action buttons, less than call to action hyperlinks, more call to action buttons, and also the imagery and how emotionally evoking it is, and curiosity driven. So don't give the story away in your email. Don't have too much text and give away the whole story. You want a teaser. You want to get people to click to go to your website to learn more there. You don't want people making a decision on the email in the email. You want them to be a little more curious and want to head to your website before they make a decision about buying or not. So that really is your click rate work. Your open rate work is sort of what I was initially looking at in my accounts. I say accounts, plural, mine and my clients, is I've altered the segments. I have altered the segment timing. I'm doing a bit more spread out segments. I'm creating more segments that are more specific and more narrow. I'm going to do some more personalized segments based off of specific products or specific collections that somebody has either shown an interest in or purchased before. If you are on the fence about Klaviyo and you have Klaviyo but are not sure you want to keep it, this is one of my clients in mind especially. I'm so glad she ended up keeping Klaviyo. I've been working in her account now for a few months. She started off with Klaviyo and moved over from a different CRM, but the cost of it really freaked her out. And I totally get that. I started with Klaviyo in 2020. So the price rises I don't look at. Maybe I should, but I don't, because all I'm looking at is the revenue that Klaviyo drives for my business. And it's 30% of my top line revenue. Klaviyo is still driving 30% of my top line revenue. So I'm not changing from Klaviyo anytime soon. I have no reason to. But when my client was a bit worried about the price, I really encouraged her that Klaviyo just gives you far more metrics inside their account and really great predictive metrics as well. You can do a lot of customizations around collections, what people have looked at, what they might look at, what they've spent and what they might spend. There, in addition to that, you get a lot of other features that you can just kind of bundle up into one. So, of course, you can do like landing pages with them. You can do sign-up forms. There's a lot of integrations that Klaviyo has. Of course, make sure you integrate it with your Meta account too, so you're advertising to your users. You should totally be doing that. But one of the reasons why people get concerned when their metrics suffer, another client of mine, I'm thinking of her account, is she's quite worried at the moment because her metrics are really bad in Klaviyo because the account has sat dormant for many years. So we're trying to reinvigorate an account that's sat dormant. And many of those users then are unengaged. So she said to me, but I don't understand it. I haven't emailed these people in years. Why is my deliverability in the toilet if I haven't even contacted these people? And it's totally an oxymoron. It doesn't even make sense, but this is the way it is. If you never contact people and then you start contacting them, Klaviyo hates that. Actually, no, it's not true. Klaviyo doesn't hate that. Email service providers hate that. Klaviyo is not making these decisions on whether your email ends up in someone's inbox or spam folder. Google is making those decisions. Yahoo, Hotmail, Outlook, all the others. They're the ones making the decisions about whether your email is going to land in someone's inbox or their spam folder. Klaviyo is just reporting that info back to you and trying to support you as best as it can in giving you the best guidance on where your deliverability sits so you can improve it if it's bad. But go back and look at your deliverability score and work to improve that. And also continue to make sure that you have some of these things in place that I want to share with you, a few tips that I'm leaning heavily on for the next little while with email marketing. The other thing I want to say is even if you don't want to be with Klaviyo because it's expensive and you have somebody else, these rules still apply to you. It's just that your email service provider potentially does not have the capacity or the technology is not advanced enough to give that feedback to you. One of my other clients, she was very on the fence about definitely leaving Klaviyo and was looking at moving to somewhere else because of the cost. And I'd really tried to reiterate to her, just give me a month. Let me work with you for a month for this project and see what I can build for you and try and get some traction in your account, because even if you move back to MailChimp, you are still going to have the same global standards. We're all held to the same issues of whether your email is going to land in spam or the inbox, of whether your messaging is good or whether your messaging is terrible, or whether people are clicking on your email or not, and what's the revenue from that email and where are people going, what are they looking at, what are they looked at that you can then go back and target them because they browsed it and they looked at it once. You can go and send them an email again. If you're with Klaviyo or not with Klaviyo, those rules still apply. Your emails may end up in spam just as much, but you won't know about it, which is even worse. So even worse than looking at metrics in Klaviyo and knowing that you need to pull some up and some are really great, and so they're great, I'll leave those ones, but the flows probably need a bit of work. I should probably refresh those. All of that work you would still need to do in another email service provider, but you may not even know it because they may not give you the data to tell you that that's the case. I think about a business at the moment that I get emails from probably a couple of times a week. Actually, I've never shopped there. I contacted them about a year ago with a question, and they emailed me back, and I've ended up on their email list since. And frankly, now I'm saying it out loud, I haven't even bothered to unsubscribe. I just keep deleting the emails. They're always in my spam folder. I've never had one land in my inbox, but they've obviously never cleaned their list because I've had emails from them now consistently for a year. I need to go and unsubscribe. And they keep sending them to me, and I keep going. They're always in my spam and promotions folder. They are not with Klaviyo. I can tell you they're not with Klaviyo. They're not with Klaviyo, but I wonder if they think email marketing is a joke and a waste of their time, and they don't know why. Potentially they do. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. And they probably have no clue why their emails are tanking and why their results are bad, why no one's buying on from email anymore. Is email marketing dead? Does anybody buy from email anymore? But if they thought about it for a minute, they would realize their list has never been cleaned. They're emailing people that have never walked into the store or shopped with them, and they're landing in a spam folder 99% of the time. So there's always reasons why these things happen. I would just encourage you that Klaviyo will give you the metrics you need to discover those problems and ways to fix them and mitigate them. So let me quickly go through with you a few things I've just been doing and will be actively doing in the next 6 months to really see what sort of difference inside my account and my client's account I can make for them, as far as sort of some of the metrics that are just could be better. They could just be better. And that is spreading out the abandoned cart flow so that the call to action is softer. I realized in my own email account when I was looking at the metrics, my worst unsubscribe metric is on my abandoned cart flow. And I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, why is this the case? And ChatGPT was super helpful and said, you maybe your emails are too close together and you're a bit your call to actions are too fierce and too strong and you're yelling at them. That's what ChatGPT told me. And right on. Yes, ChatGPT, you are right. When I looked at my abandoned cart flow, my emails were a little too strongly worded, and I think people just got annoyed with them and annoyed with me, so they unsubscribed. So I've fixed that. So that's one thing I'll be using softer language in call to actions, not in a sale. In a sale, you want a strong call to action, obvious call to action. You don't want people to have to investigate what you're emailing them about. You need it to be clear and concise, like clear over clever 100% of the time. But when I think about the flows I have set up in my abandoned cart flow, yeah, I think my emails probably were a bit too yelly, a bit too like all caps at people, and the time frame was too short. So I've spread them out. I have 2 emails and I've spread them out. The other thing is more segmentation. I'm going to create not just an engaged segment and an unengaged segment, and then my super engaged hot segment, like give me your money, this is the products you looked at, come and shop segment. I want an in between. I want to have I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet. I'm going to have like a more engaged, and then a more engaged, and then an unengaged, something like that. I feel like I need 3 tiers. I need a super engaged segment, a regular engaged segment, and then an unengaged segment. And then my send schedule will fluctuate between those segments. My separate segment, like my shopping, buy this now, you looked at these products segment, will stay the same. That's always driving great revenue for me and my customers as well, my clients. So that segment I'm not touching. But I feel like I want to add a new segment that's a little more customized in between the 2 segments I currently use on a regular basis. I'm going to start using more personalization like first names, like that's an obvious one, but even some other personalizations around like maybe city or location, birth dates or first order date, or all the data that Klaviyo has for me. I want to leverage that a little more heavily and use that more in my emails, in subject lines and in the copy as well. I want to do more A/B testing between subject lines, but I also want to do more A/B testing with the header image. I feel so strongly about the top of an email. I really do. Like what somebody sees in their preview for me is a game changer as far as I'm concerned with building emails. And when I look in my own inbox, like what someone sees as a preview, if they have a preview turned on, is a big deal. So I want to do more A/B testing in my subject lines and in the preview that sits at the top as well. I also want to I also want to create a standalone offer for my very unengaged segments. The problem is with the way email is now, and a bit like what I've been talking about, is if nobody is ever engaged, they never hear from you. So if you never email unengaged, they'll never hear from you because they're never engaged. At the same time, though, if you email unengaged too often, your Klaviyo metrics and deliverability tanks. That's a bit of the fine line. You want to be contacting unengaged on a somewhat regular basis, but not so regular that it tanks your regular metrics, but enough that it gives those unengaged the opportunity to become engaged. It's like a real puzzle. I feel like it's a real puzzle. So I want to create an offer that's a standalone offer, a coupon code or something, or a gift with purchase that goes to these unengaged people maybe every 2 months and gives them the opportunity to bump up into that unengaged segment. And then I also want to clean my list a little more regularly. I did this last week with my account, and I've been doing it with two of my clients' accounts a lot this month. And one of them I'd cleaned based on location of where she can deliver to. I cleaned another client's account the same based on the location where she can deliver to, because she had a stack of emails in there from random places around the world. Then I did the same with my own account, and I was surprised I had accumulated in the last year lots of random email addresses from all over the world. So I cleaned several hundred from my own email account as well. The other thing I'll say before I go is also check your peer group. It's worth going into settings. Actually, I think it's under benchmarks, industry benchmarks, it might be. And then look at your peer group just to check that Klaviyo has actually put you in the correct peer group, so that it is sort of measuring somewhat the correct metrics when it measures your own campaigns and flows, that you're in the right peer group. And I will say before I go, that was the one thing I was going to say too, is if your metrics are dropping, but you're adding lots of cold leads, that's expected. That's actually expected. Like if you are just going to email the same 10% of people again and again and again, it's a bit like the issue I had all through last year with not having enough leads in the top of my funnel. There's a balancing act. You cannot just continue to email this group of engaged users that get smaller and smaller and smaller as they drop off, unsubscribe, go broke, can't spend with you anymore, lose interest, move on. Because that group gets smaller and smaller. You have to continue to try and funnel and encourage more people into this group. And the only way you're going to do that is by doing some sort of lead generation exercise, reaching out to your unengaged segment, or for one of my clients is reaching out to little groups of users from her previous email service provider in small batches, which is necessary work, but it will tank your metrics. Like it definitely makes your metrics dip, because you're giving the opportunity to these new users to now suddenly learn about you who haven't seen you maybe ever or in a really long time. So there's a bit of a balancing act there. I guess what I'm trying to say is just to stay on top of where your metrics are sitting and just make sure that nothing takes you by surprise. And if there is something there that a bit seems out of whack, or you're not sure, or looks really askew, then go ahead and do a bit of a dive on it and see how you can rectify that metric. Or reach out to me and book a discovery call, and I'll discuss that with you and do that work for you over a month's period, and get some sort of stabilization back into your account and give you a clear path of what's been going on, and also a clear path forward of what to do next. Stay tuned for the next episode. And as always, we are the captains of our ship and the drivers of our steam train running our businesses in e-commerce. So as always, hey, keep learning.